कृपया ध्यान दीजिए, the language used on the podcast may not be fit for consumption. We warn you, tread carefully. But listen, yaar, don't be so conservative. Yes, it's Memon from the nursery end. 4 slips, 2 gullies. Right arm fast to Brocha. Brocha goes forward. Let's go to the keeper. And no run. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Ayaz Memon here early morning. Sorry, we brought the timing down to 8:45, but he's one of my favorites. A great human being, great sports lover. Wish he was a woman, I'd have married him. Just the best fun you can ever have. I don't want to sound very male about this or jock or whatever the thing is, but the best fun you can ever have is finding people who like-minded, who love sport like you, and the time just passes. I can't think of anything else. If I had enough money in the world, I could just find people like, say, Ayaz and Harsha. And I mean, okay, they are famous people when it comes to cricket, but even the non-famous people who love sport around the world, you can hang out. That's life. I think that would be paradise, especially if your sex days are behind you like mine are. Why bring that up? It's all about the cricket. Ayaz, welcome to the show. Thanks for bringing us here at 8:45 because you have a bloody meeting at 9:45, but he's old school. He's on time. The punctuality is key. We have some people who actually tuned in. This is unbelievable. I mean, it's not Pamela Anderson. Again, reference from our time. Let's go back to Silvery will help me with the name from today. I don't know. Famous Amber Heard. It's not Amber Heard.
Amber Heard.
Amber
Yeah,
Heard.
that's
God, I'd pay good money to have Amber Heard here on the show. Yeah, sorry. But listen, so what we're going to do now is obviously talk to you about cricket, and there's lots to talk about. And then towards the end, we'll take some questions because I'm told lots of people have woken up and they want their voices to be heard. As you know, cricket, everybody's a pundit. Isn't that wonderful?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, if the country is so passionate about the sport, they better have an opinion. Why not?
I love it. It hasn't changed since I was a kid. When two guys are standing with you and they say, Rohit Sharma, yaar, I think he can't bat anymore. He should bat in the middle order. And I'm thinking, what really? I mean, he's had like 3 bad games where he's not really scored runs. Look at the body of work in white ball cricket, especially. I mean, it's ridiculous to even say that.
But Cyrus, if you in the good old days of Bombay, if you traveled by train, local train, or stood in the line for a BST bus, this was the conversation you would hear. Yeah, Gavaskar, Vishwanath say, better hai ke nahi? And what's going to happen?
But that I don't mind that so much because that's opinion. But when they start correcting the bat or the bowler, that if he wants to regain his swing, he has to point the fingers towards second slip when he's trying to bowl outswing or whatever. You actually hear these conversations with the so-called the Puritans amongst us.
But that's because there's so much punditry going on by former cricketers, and it's par for the course. There's so much live coverage that everybody who hears this then assimilates and comes up with their own theories.
Yeah,
and therefore, I mean, that's why cricket is so big.
But is it India, Pakistan thing, maybe our subcontinent, maybe Sri Lanka, where this analyzing and the experts always talk? Or do you think the rest of the Western world as well does it?
No, I think it's true even of Australia and England. I mean, that is what sport is about. You have an opinion.
I mean, we didn't make the team, but at least let us tell you what's wrong, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And I think, they, not just that, a lot of people will tell you how they would have played it.
Yeah.
They were in the middle.
I remember the last time I went with my son to CCI to watch a IPL game. A guy showing the other guy the mistake made by the batsman who just got out. The shadow batting, saying yahan se, and all these explaining technically why the lift was wrong, the back lift was wrong.
It reminds me of those air guitarring.
Shadow guitar. Yeah. Wow, that's great. That's great. No, you're right. If we can't pretend for sometimes, it's that boy in us which can never grow up. No?
Absolutely.
You gotta that shadow batting. I'm sure we all did growing up. Where you take names, and I used to play full test match. Think back in the 80s as I was a young kid.
With the book cricket?
No, book cricket. I had a little small balcony. I would take my bat and I would, you could ask my mother. Saturday morning, I would start at 9 in the morning. I would play for 3 hours till lunch. And it would be a full match, I mean, David Gar's 11 against Gavaskar's 11, whatever, all the names were correct. The batting orders were correct. And, I would play ball by ball.
And you were all 22 players.
I had no friends. I was 24. I was playing ball by ball. I was not skipping balls. So I've started, and after 2 hours, I'm basically into like the 24th over. It's both of them coming in from the nursery. And it's
Cyrus,
like that.
This is like a crackpot policy.
Yeah, I know. I realized later that because none of my friends were that bad. It was horrible. Okay, let's get to some of the news around the world. First and foremost, Mithali Raj. I want to ask you, for me, this is a little bit of I felt the last couple of years, slower batsman. See, because this is something nobody wants to answer. We all talk about how great she was, almost 23 years, the longest running international cricketer from India, breaking the great Sachin Tendulkar's record. No doubt about that. And all the other figures are fabulous and etc. in the 50s, etc., etc., etc. in the matches played. But the last couple of years, I sometimes felt, especially white ball, maybe not making the top six in terms of speed of her batting, if you look at the figures again. But do you think, as it happened with Kapil Dev towards the end, just in India, we don't let them go? Dhoni.
Yeah, I mean that's true to an extent. And in Mithali's case, I think unfortunately what happened in the past 3 or 4 years, especially since the 2017, tournament in
Oh,
England,
sad. Yeah.
which is fantastic, but there were differences within the team. Coaches got changed, roles started to get redefined. She was the captain, then she's not the captain.
But that
All
was
kind
more a
of
coach in her fight than a Harmanpreet and her fight.
yeah, I mean, yeah, but it creates bad blood
Yeah.
within the
And
team.
then camps happened.
Yeah, then camps happen. So I think a bit she got lost in that melee, so to speak, which she could have done without, and Indian women's cricket could have done without. But you must also look at the the availability of young talent. If you don't have Mithali Raj, who's there to replace her? Is there somebody who's as good? The talent pool is improving or increasing by leaps and bounds now in women's cricket.
I mean, you got Smriti, you got Harmanpreet immediately. You've got two, three others around them. You've got Jemima fighting for a place. I'm looking at the younger ones and thinking that I'm only talking white ball. I think red ball, she deserved a place for
Yeah.
sure. I'm just wondering with the strike rate going down, she did bat. She held the batting in the last couple of tournaments also. She still
Yes,
performed.
yes.
But the strike rate was always not great. But you can argue that, you need someone to anchor. So I don't know. And again, I'm just criticizing her here for a second, but not to take away from what she's done.
Yeah, I think what it works both ways, Cyrus. So one is that if there is a lot of talent, young talent waiting to be in the team, then you feel the pressure, and either you raise the bar or you opt out. You
But
know.
okay, getting back to the same point, do you think it's the Indian thing where we just don't let go? And this may be of business families also. This is a cultural issue.
Yeah, it
This is
is.
not cricket alone. I'm trying to point out. But I just see, look at the Aussies, the Brits, to some extent, even the West Indians for that matter, South Africans. It's like you get a sell by date and you're gone. You may be with Richards, but you're told this is your last series. It's like that.
Yeah, I think that's really an issue in Indian cricket, not in women's cricket. I mean, look, I bet neither you nor I can name 15 women cricketers. It's a challenge.
Well, I'll just take first names so I get it right. Pooja, Shweta, Neha. I'm just going to get it right, bro. Check. Google,
No,
guys.
the point I'm trying to make is if you could remember 40 names, then obviously there is a lot of pressure on her to make way. But if there are not enough names, then the selectors play safe. Then she's also got that
So what
buffer.
you're saying is they couldn't push her out.
They couldn't push her
You're
out.
feeling that she was in the top six by right, and that's the way it is then.
And therefore, now, if you look at the last couple of tournaments, the pressure has been building up, so to speak, because young talent has started coming through. Young girls are coming through, and they are doing enough to justify a place in the
So
team.
I'll transfer that. You give me a great segue to the more controversial side, which is males in cricket. And so does that mean that the writing is on the wall for in white ball? Again, definitely not in red ball. In white ball is the writing on the wall for our two big guns, Virat and Rohit. Is it possible? Because I was looking at the lineup yesterday. The 212 runs were scored by them. There are 2-3 at the fringes after the six as well.
Yeah.
You're thinking that Dinesh Karthik and Rishabh Pant may have to fight for a place. We have enough middle order batsmen at the moment. You got Surya Kumar, you got Shreyas Iyer, you got Ishan Kishan fighting at the top. You got Dhawan trying to get in. You got lots of young guys pushing the boundaries. Jasprit made 100 in a Ranji match yesterday.
Yeah.
He's waiting there. Padikal is waiting there. Gaikwad is already there. So where do we put them in?
Yeah, I mean, and that's something that they have to answer now, because it's going to, this pressure is building up, whether it's Virat or whether it's Rohit, and the template for T20 certainly has been evolving and changing. So Virat averages 50 plus, has a strike rate which may not be 160, 170,
Yeah.
but it's got a very decent strike rate, 130, something like that.
Yeah.
Rohit has got a better strike rate
No,
because
I can't believe we're having this conversation. Because they're absolute legends. There's no
they're
question.
legends.
And if you go back 18 months also, you will not have this. I mean, you'd spit at me. You know what I mean? Like, why are you mental? Well, how can you even bring this up? But I'm just looking at it. This T20 goes so fast.
Because also, let's not forget, Cyrus, that there is so much talent in India today. The talent pool is humongous, and the IPL throws up all kinds of new names every year. Not all of them survive. There's a lot of
Fair
people
enough,
on the floor, but you obviously ask questions that I mean, look at last season. Neither Rohit nor Virat could get going at all.
Yeah.
They were pale shadows of themselves. So, do they get into the team? On the face of it, you might say no. But when you look at a World Cup tournament, it demands more than just a strike rate.
And Australian wickets.
And Australian
who's
wickets.
the best player of bounce?
And
Rohit. Who's the best player internationally? Virat. I mean, all that comes into play.
That comes, and temperament and big occasion players and so on and so forth. I think what India needs to do, we saw in the first match, as we speak last night, we lost to South Africa. So a couple of things have happened, and I think
But we
obliquely,
didn't lose because of the batting.
no, but it's obliquely relevant to what I'm saying.
Hmm.
One is that internationally, even in the IPL, certainly, a Rohit Sharma or a Virat Kohli does not intimidate the opponents any longer.
Oh,
The
that's a big
youngsters,
statement.
yeah,
Yeah.
the youngsters, maybe a young 20-year-old from India,
I feel this in the comedy world, Ayaz. I
and
walk around and the
the guy
comedians don't
says,
give
if
me
I, in
respect.
fact,
Yeah.
they say if I get Rohit or Virat, then I'm one step ahead in becoming the big guy. And as a team, what the kind of team that India was till about a year and a half, 2 years ago, in all formats,
Hmm.
even that at the international level, the other teams are not overwhelmed by India now.
Yeah.
So there has to be some rethink.
Well, going back to red ball cricket, a weakish South Africa held their own in the end.
Exactly.
I think we're both in Alibag where we live with the poor, feeding. We do a lot of work for NGOs and all that. Me and Ayaz, 15 days a month, we're there feeding people with our own hands. But little against a run of play, we thought. I remember you telling me actually that this is the best chance to beat South Africa, and it'll never get better than this.
Yes.
They're at their lowest ebb, and we're at our highest in a sense. Right, so both these cycles will not happen at the same time again. We're there at the lowest, and we're at our highest 4 years from now when we toast South Africa. It's unlikely. So we missed a golden opportunity, and we were on top after the first test match, etc.
Yes, and I think Virat missing the second test was was
Huge,
a
yeah,
blow. I
yeah.
think last year there were two major setbacks, and I don't mean Virat giving up captaincy and the fiasco in the World T20.
Mm.
One was we floundered in the World Test Championship.
Yeah.
That is something. Had we won,
We're
I mean,
straight. The same thing's going to happen now in July
the,
1st.
the,
You're sending this guy. I mean, they're playing white ball cricket here, then they go to Ireland to play white ball cricket, and then they go straight with a player. I mean,
everybody's preparing for the
yeah,
World
but
T20.
England has got 3 warm-up games against New Zealand, proper test matches. They'll have a
Yes,
full functioning side, great momentum. Their bowlers would have been rested enough. It's a little unfair. And as you know, July will favor the seamers generally.
yes, it will, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of composition the Indian attack has in the Test match. But just to get back to, just to take you back to last year, to
Hmm.
2021, uh, imagine if it was a close match, the World Test Championship.
Yeah,
Williamson and
yeah. They
Australia
finally batted us out.
batted
Yeah.
us out. And then beating South Africa and South Africa. Those two major achievements would have made Virat Kohli into a colossus.
Well, and we could have finished off that England series. We would
and
have
we
killed
could,
them in the
and
fifth
and
test, I felt.
I still feel we should have continued with that
Yeah,
tour and played the
yeah.
fifth test. We had the momentum with us, we had everything
Say
going
no
for
to
us.
COVID. I've been saying this. Please tell the Maharashtra government, stop this COVID. Pretend it's not there, man. Unnecessarily, we let them
I mean, I
go.
can understand the concern of players, young families, and stuff.
Lock them up. It was 5 days. Lock everybody
Yeah,
up for 5 more
yeah.
days. We won't even need 5 days. We'll be 1 and 4.
I think that was an opportunity
Yeah,
squandered.
really. Again, I think going back to your words about, you got to see where both the teams are. You don't always get a point where both the teams, one is up and one is down. So, you won't have those things favoring you at the same time simultaneously, perhaps the next cycle of test matches, etc. I want to ask you very quickly, now you brought it up. How come New Zealand's playing England again in this new World Test Championship schedule? I mean, you played last year and now you're playing
But that
again.
is not part of the World Test Championship schedule.
Okay.
So this is part of the
So the
WTC.
2 test series they had last year was a waste of time.
Well, it allowed New Zealand to win the series.
Yeah, it did. All it did was help them warm up for us.
Correct. Yeah, and
So they're all plotting.
the
It's anti
the
BCCI. This
the,
whole
the,
schedule.
the itinerary was, I think, not well thought out by India.
Yeah,
We should have gone there earlier because we went after the IPL.
yeah.
So we lost maybe 7-8 days that could have been better spent in England.
No, this
But this is
IPL.
all hindsight.
I know, but this IPL is always going to kill the red ball cricket if anything is immediate. Now, what are we going to do? We're going to always lose at least initial first test. It looks like that. You
Yeah,
see,
but IPL also throws up some really exciting young talent, and a lot of them have gone on to play.
some of them bowled yesterday
Yes,
with
and
no effect.
but you have to give credit where it's due. Miller
Yeah.
and Rossi.
Who created Miller?
Rossi
Hardik's fault.
Yes,
It's Hardik's
yes,
fault. Yeah,
yes. He created
completely.
in the
Which
in the IPL.
let's talk about Hardik for a second now, because I mean, looking back 6 months ago, it was like he's throwing his career away,
Yes.
Injured all the time, not willing to bowl. It was almost like he's reticent. I know he's recovering from injury and maybe he wasn't bowling as fast, but he just didn't want to push himself. It looked like that to the outside world, which is odd because you think, you've got all the talent in the world and you're still young. Why are you doing that?
I think Hardik is a very chastened man. He's still a very young man, but he's become far more mature and responsible. You can see it on his face. You can see on his in his demeanor.
Don't judge by the earring, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, don't judge by the earrings.
Hmm.
And I think he's taken on the responsibility of leading by performance. So in the IPL, certainly, he made runs. He bowled extremely well.
Nobody thought of him as captaincy material.
And
Ayaz, I
as
don't know
a
where that came
captain,
from.
As a captain, he was absolutely marvelous. He made all the right moves and holding together a flock of players. The IPL
Yeah.
captaincy challenge is that you got people from all over
Mm.
coming there. I mean, if you're a Virat or a Rohit, you command that
Exactly, the
respect,
status and the age factor. They
and the
got it
age
later
factor.
on in their life. Yeah.
With a Hardik, there might be a lot of people within the camp itself saying, ha ha, hoo, hoo, and
Mhm.
we'll see. But
Just because he's Gujarati, he doesn't mean he should
Yeah.
lead Gujarat.
But he's made a strong comeback into the Indian team, and I think it'll lead from the
I would pick him
T20
as a
format.
bat.
From
Even
the T20 format to the ODI to the Test, I can
yeah,
see that happening.
they need him in the test. We want that extra bowler.
And what happened with this IPL or in this IPL, Cyrus, is that we found a lot of people who were written off in Indian cricket making a comeback.
Mhm.
You know,
DK.
DK,
I mean, DK is
sensational. Now,
what a
this is what I
story.
mean. He's actually customized himself to be a T20 finisher.
And he wasn't really. If you go back three IPLs, you wouldn't think of him like that.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been an explosive bat
Yeah,
towards the end, but
but you go up and down between 4 and 6.
correct. But if you target and your mindset is such
Hmm.
that I'm going to get 10 balls, I have to make 50 runs.
Yeah,
and he prepares himself for that mentally.
it's a bit Sehwagian, isn't it? Like it's just there's the clarity is there.
Yes,
There's no options. This is it.
the big difference, of course, Sehwag having the benefit of having all 20 overs if he
Yeah,
lasts that
yeah,
long,
yeah.
or 50 overs or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But DK knows that he'll get 10, 12, 15 balls at most
Yeah.
in most matches. Occasionally, you might get more. And then to succeed with those kind of limitations is quite fantastic.
And how can you succeed match after match? He's had about 5 or 6 good knocks in the IPL,
Yeah.
which is a pretty high amount when you're just blasting away. You'd think that, the law of averages, it's almost like 50% return of investment, ROI, as we say on our show.
He's a very fit guy, and he's very motivated, very committed.
Out-aging Dhoni in terms of playing for India.
Yes, out-aging Dhoni, and also because of as a wicket keeper, he's also got very sharp reflexes.
Yeah.
And he's got great ball sense, as
Yeah.
Dhoni had, and
Hmm.
all of them have.
Yeah, but not to criticize anyone, but he hasn't lost the power in fact, if anything, he seems to be hitting the ball harder, and that sort of the zest of his batting.
The zest is a very important word, and the ambition that I still want. I mean, imagine last year.
Only he believed it. Only he believed he'll play for India again. No one would
Yeah.
take it seriously. He was commentating in England last season.
Then there are the other guys who are part of the World T20 team,
Hmm.
but may not have been first choice players even now. Yuzvendra Chahal and Kuldeep Yadav. They both also come back into the squad.
Chahal played yesterday.
Kuldeep couldn't because he's got injured. So this IPL has been actually very good for some of these.
Just now, because going back to 2017, when we lost that mini World Cup in England in the final, Pakistan blasted us. Ashwin got blamed for that, and then subsequently these two came into form, and then they lost form, and then suddenly they disappeared. Now it looks like we're reinventing them as the for the white ball spin attack, the Chahal and Kuldeep. What's your take on that?
Well, I think, look, Chahal, you need a leg spinner, and you don't have too many. I mean, you got Ravi Bishnoi, who's there part of the squad, but I don't think he's looked at the international level
Seriously,
a serious wicket taker that he'll win you matches. Chahal has that potential. He's come back into the team and he's actually bowled quite well. Kuldeep Yadav, of course, mystery bowler and stuff like that. But he has a point to prove, and he better do it fast because
seems highly emotional. I don't know, something that works for or against. As in, every time he succeeds, he's really emotional. Like he's taken a real beating mentally sometimes. The flip side of that.
Yeah, I think he's not taken his rejection from the team earlier.
Yeah,
he's not taken it well. That much is clear.
Also, the rejection from the IPL team.
The IPL team, and so on. So I think you're right. I mean, he maybe it takes all to make.
Fair enough. No, I agree.
All
I
kinds
agree.
of players.
Yeah. Everyone can't be Mr. Dhoni. धीरे से आगे उसको आगे लेना. Yeah, what a guy he is. Really changed the game for all of us. But let's look forward now. The World Cup is in Australia. Let's look at that first. Or let's look at the test match as well, because that one test match not looking good for us in terms of preparation.
I mean, you could say that because we haven't had much of.
Cheteshwar is prepared.
He
can make all the runs.
Yeah, he can make all the runs. I think the key really is Rohit and Virat. Rohit at the top.
But the old dogs have some fight left, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I mean, look, I thought Virat wasn't in bad form at all of 2021.
It's nothing. There's no reason why he's getting out. It's not like the moving ball or he's playing across the line.
That old panache was not there. He just didn't go and dominate.
Yeah. But is that also to do with the confidence going down a little bit? So
of course,
just naturally not.
Of course, and too much
swagger
happening around him.
I think he needs to fight. He's like
Yeah,
McEnroe or Lara.
yeah. He
They
needs.
need to fight. He needs to get in an argument. Then he starts blood
I
rushes.
met somebody in Delhi recently
Yeah,
who's also very involved with cricket and
yeah,
stuff, and
yeah.
he says, Virat is, he's a champion batsman. ये वो उसका problem ये है कि वो woke हो गए हैं.
Ah, walk ho gaya. Spot on. Spot on. This is super. This guy is great. Yes, put this guy in the box here. This guy is great. This is exactly, I didn't word it as rightly.
Yeah,
That's the problem. He's become too nice.
I found it very fascinating.
It's true. He's become too nice. It's like you got yourself a Rottweiler and you make him into a poodle. You can't do that. You got to release the Rottweiler. I just feel he needs to get into that space where he's a West Delhi boy who wants to pick a fight, and then he's at his best. Because he's a scrapper. He's Javed Miandar in that
Right,
sense.
but I hope he's, this time away from the game has helped him, because I mean, in a sense, I agree with Ravi Shastri. When he said that his brain fried or whatever in
Yeah,
typical Shastri style.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Very euphemistic. But you need that little time
When
away.
things aren't going right, sometimes you need to just step off.
And too much has happened in Virat's life last year.
Yeah.
Losing the World Test Championship is a blow. You played so well for 2 years. You're the top dog in the world, and then you go and lose a match you should have won, and then you lose the world.
And he let go of everything in the same month. Suddenly it was almost like he was like, okay, take this off me, take this
So
off me.
that obviously lots of things were happening around
Behind
him,
the scenes,
behind
yeah.
the scenes, and obviously that's not left him very happy.
Yeah.
So he kept giving up one and the other, then the IPL captaincy, then the T20 captaincy, then ODI, and Test matches. Test matches actually came as a bit of a surprise for me.
Yeah.
Because I thought that.
Or did they push that?
Yeah, well, it could
in
be
the meeting.
I mean, I don't know, but I think it was a.
I think with Ravi also stepping down, I think everybody, that.
See, Ravi's term was to finish.
So Ravi Virat was like, Salim Javed sort of thingy, and then, they're looking at fresh blood because now Rahul will come in and he'll want. I'm not saying anybody has put their hand up and said that, but I think the BCCI mandarins in their thinking must have thought this is the time, if at all.
Yeah, I think split captaincy was absolutely fine in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's just too much happening. Look at Joe Root.
Yeah, low immediately.
Yeah. Look at him as a test player.
Yeah, wow.
And
not that he floundered. Not that he floundered. He didn't have a great Ashes, but barring that, he has been fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And then your best batsman, Virat Kohli, going through the horrors, so to speak, not getting enough runs.
Yeah.
He starts thinking about it himself because there's a lot of pride attached to it. Then the others around him, the selectors, and then you get into a panga. Yeah. Selectors are saying something, you're saying something, you get into a spat with.
No, and the internet is in your face, man.
Yeah,
people
BCCI
like me.
President Saurav Ganguly and he are at loggerheads.
That was ridiculous. I mean, you think now they're two cricketers, one from a generation before. Growing up, they would always talk about these bureaucrats driving them nuts and not communicating and not talking. And I like the Aussie way, bro. You call up and you tell people personally. And they've always done that, have they not?
Yeah.
And it's a horribly cruel thing to do, but that's what your position demands, that you as the captain or you as the coach or you as the chairman of selectors talks to the cricketer himself.
But Cyrus, I must mention here that we've seen a paradigm shift in Australian cricket.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might start influencing, players and the
democratizing of their players with Langer getting out.
Langer being told to go. Virtually by the players.
Told to go by the players, or
look at the note that Pat Cummins wrote.
Yeah.
That letter. I mean, nobody could survive after that.
Yeah.
And the fact that he went.
Yeah.
He went, and the Australian.
But what do you want him to do, Ayaz? How can you lead people who don't want you?
Yeah, exactly.
No, only in India you can, not cricket.
No, the point is that player power, as we understood it. No, it obviously needs a very level-headed person.
That's
at the
also
top.
not a good sign.
It's not a good sign. So you need to have a very level-headed person at the top. Otherwise, you'll have. I mean, this will be a WWF between the players and the.
Your generation speaks for itself. It's called WWE apparently. No. F was when they started. It's moved on. The four boys in the studio are going berserk. We don't know cricket, but we know our wrestling. Mr. Memon, we have to correct you. I agree with you totally. The little chaotic and little. I thought it was happening in India under Virat, where he seemed to be like the man in charge for a couple of years. Literally, nobody's questioning his authority. And now, if you're saying Pat Cummins and company are taking over, what's the point there? I mean, what's the point of having a coach? Then you just have a guy who carries your bag.
No, I think the Langer wasn't. I think
that apart,
completely accepted.
That apart, but I'm saying, please explain to me. We've discussed this before, but we haven't done it on podcast. Who's the boss? In football, if you've got Jurgen Klopp and you've got under him, you've got Mohamed Salah and all these big names, who's the boss there? I think it's clearly Klopp.
Yes.
Klopp is the boss. So who's the boss here? Langer and Cummins, etc. Who's the boss?
In my opinion, Cummins. I think
So you're reversing it in cricket.
I'm saying in cricket it has to be the captain. It can't be the coach
And why is that?
because captain makes the decisions on the field. He's the interventionist. He decides on his reading of the game.
So you're saying there's a much bigger role in cricket for the captain than there is in football.
Is the
Where
most
basically they
important
just
role.
point to each other.
Is the most important
Hmm.
role in any sport is the cricket captain. There's no parallel to a cricket captain.
So Virat over Ravi.
Yes, undoubtedly. You can plan what you want, but on the field, the decisions will have to necessarily be taken by Virat. You may come back or you may
So then a
occasionally
Langer-like personality will never work.
will
The guy
never
who's trying to
work.
be the alpha,
Yes.
and Kirsten will always work.
Yeah, but what Cummins' letter did, look, Langer had support from Hayden, Damian Martin.
No, that whole his
Steve
group,
Waugh.
his generation, 100%.
He told them to pack up. His letter said, okay, you played great cricket, this, that, and the
Is
other.
that so?
This is my team. I'm leading these guys.
The legends of Australian cricket, he said, stay on the bench, boys.
Yes, Ricky Ponting.
Wow. Oof. That's a lot of guts.
That's a lot of guts.
You're alienating an entire, the golden
Australian,
generation,
and
actually.
the Australian Cricket Board could do,
Yeah.
couldn't do much.
Because the present is the present. You can't live on the
present.
past. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. I don't know. I'm sort of caught on two minds on this, but I'll go with you because ultimately I think the captain will take more blame as well.
Yes.
Especially in a 5-day game or even in a T20. Look at the amount of decisions you're making in one minute. It's such pressure. I don't think you should captain for more than 2 or 3 seasons. I think it kills people.
Yeah. I mean, Ian Chappell has this theory. He's talked about it. Nobody should captain for more than 5 years.
Yeah, it's the same principle.
Yeah, same principle.
So you're saying we don't repeat the leadership in India? Kya baat hai, Ayaz? Andar ki baat hai. I'm understanding everything you're saying. It's not about cricket. What do they have cricket? No, only cricket. No, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I think we have to go into a quick break. No, I think do we have time? Can we keep talking? Yeah. Oh, we have time. Ayaz, when we say break, you can't look at your phone. What's going on? This is a live podcast. People are taking notes down. Yeah, let's get back to the test match, the big one. Now we left them hanging, and the irony is both the captains changed.
Yes,
they had their problems, we had our problems. So there's no Virat versus Root. It's basically Ben Stokes
versus
Rohit. And how did you rate that? Well, only one test is on. The second is starting right now, today in the afternoon. How do you rate Ben Stokes as a captain from what you saw?
It's too early to say whether he's,
he got lucky because one batsman won them the match.
Yes,
they were losing 4 for 40.
They were losing, but he himself played a very significant role. That partnership was which turned the match around. I think England are a very good team at home.
Where's the batting?
Yeah, the batting now. I mean, if you have Root in this form,
1, 2, 3 is just gone.
Yeah, so the batting is their problem, but their bowling, as we saw, James Anderson.
Oh, there's no doubt. No, even against us, the bowling was still great.
Yeah, they lack a spinner, a quality spinner.
That's been 40 years.
Yeah.
Pat Pocock, who do you want to go to? Yeah.
So the preparation from the Indian point of view should be, one is how do you negotiate with Anderson and Broad.
But we're not going to get any practice.
We know, but by now you having played for 10 years each and made multiple trips to England, the player should be able to sort it out.
Would you think it works in our favor that perhaps not playing too much white ball, they'll play against Ireland, and then suddenly you have the two big guys, Rohit and Virat, getting red ball again? That's just a change of pace. Maybe that makes them feel better.
I think so. I think it's also giving them time to kind of work things out in their heads and say this. Because the players are all known; they all know each other. Though it's been a year.
Conditions are known.
Conditions are known. Their skill sets are known. Their own form they have to raise. They have to raise the bar. Both Virat and Rohit was in very good form in England last year. Virat was iffy. Had a couple of very good half centuries he had, but he wasn't, as we say, in dominant form. But if these two guys get going, and they've got KL Rahul, hopefully he'll be fit.
Quick word there. How many times can you be injured? You're still a young man.
Yeah, I think
what's going on?
He seems to be injury prone. It's
too injury prone.
Yeah.
I mean, Nasir Hussain, Shivnarine Chanderpaul, the names just come to me who really played 50% of the test. They should have. Chanderpaul would have played over 200.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And now the KL and Hardik have been injured half their careers. You can do the maths. And they're the same two who Karan Johar targeted on that show. Yeah. So, again, I'm not insinuating anything.
Not for the injuries.
Not for the or maybe injuries. You can get hurt off the pitch also, though. Come on. And this is a back thing, which apparently is involved in all sport. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So coming back, you still give us what, 50% chance or less?
I think 50% certainly, because as you said, England is not
Bumrah?
a strong. Bumrah.
What form is that guy in?
Bumrah, Shami is in excellent form.
And
And Siraj was very good last year.
If we can find that momentum,
If we can
we've
find
got,
that momentum.
we've got
But
Umesh
I'm
Yadav,
really
Umran Malik.
Umran Malik is really the X factor.
Yeah.
It,
Shardul Thakur, you've forgotten about.
no, Shardul is there in the team. I'm saying, but you got one test match. Now
Yeah.
you
But
can
we play four seamers.
but you can decide tactically after seeing the pitch and everything
Right,
else that
right.
let's go and blast them out. Try and do it.
Would
with,
you
with
dare
pace.
not play either spinner? Would you dare play 5 with Hardik batting at 6 or 7?
Yeah, I mean, you could play Jadeja or Ashwin.
So you'll play one spinner regardless.
Yeah.
You will play one spinner.
Yes,
Okay.
certainly.
You won't go for 5 because that would be a very
Unless
aggressive
it's
statement.
an absolute green top. I mean, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll risk a green top against India because India is
No,
now
they
got
can't.
assembly line of fast bowlers.
Wow. And Bumrah, what about that guy? We haven't spoken about him. I mean, he suddenly, first half of the IPL, he was a little slow, and then suddenly he came to life again. But he's really been, I mean, he's just unbelievable.
He is, in my opinion, his learning curve going upwards has been the steepest.
Yeah.
In the last 5 years, since he played his first Test match in South Africa, he's just kept getting better and better and better. He's improving his fitness, he's improving his stamina, he's improving his skills, and I think more than anything else, he understands a batsman's psychology. So he plays on and preys on their mind. And he's done it so successfully in the IPL, in ODIs, in T20 internationals, and certainly in Test cricket. He's an absolute marvelous.
Awkward run-up, awkward action.
Yeah.
You can't copy him. He's like Murli, a fast bowling version of that. Really unique specimen.
Very, very unique. And therefore, and a lot of critics thought that he might not last more than 2 years with that action of his. But he's 5 years and going strong or getting stronger.
I think without being jingoistic, I think he's the best bowler in the world. All said and done, the last couple of years in all 3 formats.
Yes, I think he's got no serious challenger right now, in my opinion.
Across all 3 formats, I would say no challenger. In Test, I would say Pat Cummins would run him close.
Pat Cummins, yes, is the
and
closest.
Anderson in English conditions, that 60 will also be difficult to
A
negotiate.
guy who's young and upcoming is, of course, Shaheen Shah Afridi.
Oh, he's fantastic.
He's fantastic.
We forgot about him. You're fair enough. And they weren't getting to play enough Tests.
Yes.
So and then now getting to play at home, you'll see the difference.
Yeah.
When
they had a very good Test series. Australia and Pakistan.
Exactly. It was fabulous.
Fabulous. A lot of people were critical after the first Test. These are all
slow batting
pitches,
batting forever.
It turned out to be a thriller.
The third Test was fantastic. We have to go to break, but we've got Australia and Sri Lanka, which I think is a great thing. Again, we discussed that for a minute. Beyond the cricket, the fact that the country is suffering so much. Great to see a full house. I know they lost the first 2 games, T20 games that is, but full house game. A country in crisis. This is where sport can really play a part in a sense, right? I mean, honestly, we discussed this again offline, but nice to see.
Yes, and it's a rallying cry for the country when you have a sport, an international.
They're cheering their heroes back to normal,
taking their minds off
their
serious crisis which is engulfed their country. I think it's great, and that it's good that they've had this match or this series despite all the problems because it just helps. I think it helps in the recovery period.
I think so. I think people don't understand what a role sport plays. You're judging the people in my studio who are these 3, well, not 3, this one guy who will join us in a minute hates sport, but that's very rare. It's huge. As a young kid, if I go back, I'm thinking you take away the pandemic happened, I would have almost died. 2 years without sport, 1.5 years without sport. It was ridiculous, unbelievable. But also we have West Indies in Pakistan. That's great that Pakistan gets local cricket again. We'll take a break and we'll come back. As Memon, I'll give you his figures. 86 Test matches for India, 14 as captain. His highest is 374 not out against South Africa before apartheid. We go back a long way. And we'll take a break and we'll come back. And joining us is Silvery, Powai's finest middle order batsman. In a minute.
Hello, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcasts Network. On Shunya One, Sheila Ditya asks co-founder and CEO of Hungerbox, Sandeepan Mitra, about his entrepreneurial journey. On Cyrus Says Cock and Bull, Cyrus, Nivedita, Ayushi and Abbas talk about the latest court ruling on sex work in India. On The Habit Coach, Ashton shares 3 steps that will help you let go of your failures. On IVM Likes, Snehil, Abbas, Zalak and Nikhil talk about the kind of music they grew up with. And on Postcards from Nowhere, Utsav explores the trade cuisines of Kerala. We've got some exciting news for you. IVM Podcasts has just launched its merch and our first line is out now. Head to the IVM Podcasts website and click on the shop tab to check out our first collection of t-shirts. Do follow us on social media. We are IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. Also, don't forget to rate us on any platform you're listening on. And you can also check us out on YouTube. We're also doing a small listener survey to better understand how you respond to our shows and advertising on the network. We would really appreciate it if you could spare a few minutes to fill it out. It helps us build better shows for you. And finally, we would like to thank our sponsors this week: SBI Life Insurance, Jupiter, a digital banking app, Cap Gemini, get the future you want, Intel V Pro, built for business, and Intel, future banao wonderful with Intel-powered laptops.
Oh, caught us off guard. Sharp delivery. Outside off stump. I played back. Should have come forward. Sorry about that. Ayaz is in the studio with his very unique look. Some people say, what is that famous chain? Kentucky Fried.
Yeah, KFC.
You have the guts to call him that?
I said KFC. I did not say chicken like you expected me to.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes.
We won't get into it. Later on, Ayaz leaves now. Then we
Cyrus, I thought you make bakara of people, not not murgi.
Budget ki baat hai, bhai. We have to dumb down. Can't afford the bakra. Okay, Silvi is
Yes.
joining us. Not a big fan. How do you deal with the? Are you the type of guy who people like me almost irritate you because you only want to talk about cricket and won't leave you alone? What happens when you meet the other type who don't know a word or care about it at all?
I think it's great, I mean, just to have an outsider's perspective in all this brouhaha that's going around in the IPL. You find somebody coming up and asking, "Ye cow shot kya hai?"
Was he RSS guy? Getting very
That's why
angry.
you have to run. When
Yeah.
somebody asks that question, you run.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with this. Yeah.
So, in your experience, how much of fans of cricket are players themselves? Like, in the sense, do they know all the history of
That's
cricket,
a
a lot
good
of players
question.
and all? Do
So they're all types, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting.
They're in the
that you
Shehbag
ask this.
story.
Yeah,
He didn't know the record he broke.
yeah, he
or who
didn't
they
know
were.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I remember I was in Lahore Test match in 2005,
Hmm.
and Rahul Dravid, current coach, was
Yeah.
captain, and he opened the innings with Sehwag,
Yeah.
and they put on some 410. They
Yeah.
almost broke
Just short, yeah.
just short
Yeah.
of the
413.
413
Yeah,
record,
yeah.
world record then,
Hmm.
which was Vinu Mankad, Pankaj Roy.
Okay.
And somebody asked Sehwag, do you know you all came so close to break Pankaj Roy and Vinu Mankad's record? He says, "Ye kaun hai?"
No comment. Okay, Pankaj Roy, with due respect, okay, I understand if he doesn't know Pankaj Roy doesn't play that much or
Yeah.
achieve what Vinu Mankad is like iconic. I mean, how do you not know Vinu Mankad?
But
It's,
I must tell you this, even laws of cricket,
Hmm.
in 1983, West Indies toured India. Clive Dowd's team.
handle the ball
Yes, sir.
thing?
Handle the ball.
Yeah.
At Wankhede Stadium, Desmond Haynes.
I saw that live.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at the stadium, and he played a delivery from Kapil Dev.
And then
The
Yeah.
ball rolled on,
He
was
pushed
rolling
it,
on
yeah.
towards his stumps, and he pushed it away
push it
with
off
his
with his
hand.
glove. Yeah.
He could have
Oh,
kicked it.
Yeah.
He
Okay.
could have hit it with the
He
bat.
could have. He just pushed. He didn't
just-
know.
He
Yeah.
didn't know. So
Okay,
when there
wow.
was an appeal, the umpire had to give him out, and Haynes protested,
Oh, wow.
saying, "What the hell is
And
going
he was
on?"
he was the best opening batsman in the world along with Greenwich at that point.
Yeah.
Gavaskar was still
But
there,
he didn't
top
know
of
the
line.
rules.
Didn't know.
That's why my advice to all budding journalists, obviously budding cricketers.
But now they have Google, Baba.
But पहले laws of cricket book ले लो घर में. Keep
Okay.
it in the house. That's like the.
And there's so many new rules also. Like, what's your take on this whole thing about they can't run between when the ball goes in the air, you can't run and exchange strike. I sort of miss that.
Yeah. So I mean, I think there's a lot of experimentation going on to make the game quicker also, faster, instead of
Yeah.
going into all kinds of things. What I find most intriguing, and obviously when some new things happen, you can find Ravichandran Ashwin in the thick of it,
Oh,
or at
yes.
the center of it,
Yes.
retired out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very brave and bold decision
Yeah.
to take.
But was it a team thing or was it him?
Even if it's a team thing, you would
He's in the
say-
middle of it.
Yeah, he's in the middle of it.
He's a character. You can't
He's a-
deny
he's a-
that.
he's a-
Yeah.
But he's obviously
He's bringing chess into cricket.
he's
in that
bringing
sense.
chess into cricket.
Yeah.
But it also means he's so aware of the rules.
Yeah.
I'm just going back to the point. As a player,
Mhm.
he's not saying it's enough for me to be a great off spinner. He's understanding the sport in all its.
So he's really
ramifications.
fundamentally a modern day cricketer
He's
because
a
he's
modern-
thinking
as-
out of the box. He's thinking in all the circles and squares he can.
He should be. He's, in my opinion, what a modern cricketer should be.
Would he have made a good captain?
Yeah, I mean, look,
He has captained IPL team.
he has captained the IPL
Punjab,
team,
yeah.
but difficult to say whether he would have made a good captain or not at the international level. But he's got all the ingredients right.
Going back to the Bob Woolmer using the walkie-talkie thingy and the thing in the ear.
That was shocking.
No, but now you're thinking that's It's not really about cheating. It's about the fact that they're looking at different ways to, go
Yeah,
forward.
but that time it was, especially with so much happening there was so much
with the
buzz and
scandals, you're
rumor,
saying.
and things are happening. There's fixing going on,
Hmm.
and there's a coach and the captain talking to each other on the walkie-talkie or whatever it is. You
But
carry it
why
onto
is
the
that not
field.
allowed? I'm sorry, I don't know this.
You
Because-
can't coach on the spot.
No, not just that. That is one part.
Yeah.
You can't coach on the spot. Maybe that you can say it can be allowed.
No, but going back to Steve Smith and the famous incident in India,
Yeah.
where he's looking at the team management and they're telling him whether it's out or not out.
But I have a more serious issue,
Hmm.
which is that Bob Woolmer sitting in the dressing
Oh, you mean
room.
fixing?
Yeah, the odds have changed.
Oh, hence they stopped the
of course,
mobile phone and
yes,
all.
yes,
It's more for the
yes,
fixing
After
issue.
that, the
Yeah, yeah.
mobile phone stopped.
Right. Yeah.
I can sit there and say odds have gone up, change the field, isko bowling
yeah,
karne
yeah.
lao, usko karo.
Yeah.
There's no end to it.
Wow.
Sure, yeah.
Damn it, why did they do that? We'd have made so much money here.
I don't know.
So wrong.
Like I
Really.
was thinking it in the sense that the coach could also just shout across the field to the
Like
captain.
That they
footy.
do.
Like in footy.
Yeah.
They do
Yeah,
at
okay.
times, or they
Yeah.
send they scribble
Yeah.
a note.
Oh, the
and-
gloves. The gloves is
Gloves.
1980s. You send the gloves, if the guy doesn't
Yeah.
want, he sends the gloves back.
Yeah.
But if the gloves is the note, the note is
wow,
you got 5
that's
overs
serious.
before I declare. Boss, take the gloves back. That's hilarious.
In the history of cricket, have cricketers ever been caught like taking substances to enhance their game?
How many times?
Yeah,
Enough-
is it
enough.
like
In the IPL, we have a two
But
or
you
three-
know, the thing is, it's not a performance enhancer.
Okay.
In
No, but I'll
cricket,
tell you,
in a game like cricket.
I'll
Sure.
tell you,
Okay.
Ayaz,
Yeah.
where the slight cheating is, which the fast bowlers have been doing. I won't take their names. We have, I think, Sangma, was it? Who played for Delhi?
Sangwan.
Sangwan, who was, he was caught with sanazolol,
Yes.
which is an anabolic.
Yes.
And the thing is, they're using it not for muscle building, they're using it for injury repair.
Right.
So that is also, in a sense, I don't know, because you can play immediately, with
Right.
that. The steroid allows you to play. A lot of people don't understand that. They think it's only for bodybuilding and
Yeah.
size gain
Sure.
and power gain. There's also for repair,
Yes.
for
Absolutely.
temporary repair, so you can get on the field and play. So which is
What
why
I will say
tennis
is,
and cricket and
sorry.
football use it. Sorry, yeah.
what I'll say is that there needs to be, I mean, at the county cricket and at the Ranji level, there are drug tests being done at the international level.
yeah.
But I think it needs to be more stricter for cricket as it is for, like, whereabouts clause.
Hmm.
Do you remember the time when Dhoni and Sachin Tendulkar, you couldn't check them or test them?
Oh yeah, we said no to WADA.
We said no to WADA
Yeah,
because we said
WADA for us something you eat with batata.
Yeah.
Because
Because-
what if they don't pass the test?
no,
No,
it
it's
was
like
a security issue.
security issue and also like how dare you randomly test us? It's a
But
little arrogance
security
also.
issue was there because these guys are, I mean, Sachin can't walk on the streets even
Yeah.
now.
Okay, sure, of course. Yes,
15
yes,
years or
yeah.
10, 12
Correct,
years
correct,
since
correct.
he retired.
Yeah,
Neither will Dhoni be able to do it or Virat. They just,
Sure.
yeah.
while other sports persons, I mean, not taking any.
Don't take any
away.
other names. so mean. These three guys,
They
so
can
big,
walk.
such stars. तू बेचो,
the
तेरे
others,
पास
they
कुछ
can
नहीं
walk,
है. Me,
Correct.
I can walk. Yeah.
So there's also a lot of I keep hearing about that the Indian cricket team does not get enough rest time. How true is that?
No, but it's
Do you
not
think?
different from any other team. Now, what does it
No
really
different.
matter?
I think the itinerary is now packed.
I mean, look at Kane Williamson.
Right.
He's played 7 days later. He had to rush and captain a team in red ball cricket,
Yeah.
and his form is all over the place. If you
Now
ask
he's
me,
not playing tomorrow.
he's not playing tomorrow, but he
Today,
should have not
today.
played the first test. If you ask me, he should have taken
Yeah,
that time off.
He's got COVID, so he's
Yeah.
going to be missing that test.
He's happily got COVID. I think he needs a little break. Speaking of Virat needing a break from Ravi
Yeah.
Shastri's perspective, it's same for Kane Williamson.
I mean, it's what's interesting, Cyrus, just as a diversion. Look at the fortunes of
The big four.
Big Four,
Yeah, I agree.
the three of the
Together.
Big Four. No.
Yeah, no, but together, three of the big four.
Yes.
Joe Root is carrying on regardless.
And getting
these-
better and better.
getting better. And these three have slipped. Smith was struggling in both the games.
Smith
Yeah.
has struggled. Virat has.
Virat is not the force he was at the
Williamson is
moment.
struggling.
Williamson is struggling in all forms again,
Yes.
which he's never done. He's been very consistent, and they've all three are together. They're the same time generation.
So this is interesting because when you reach a certain level of excellence, and you're, I mean,
We don't realize we took it for granted because
Yeah.
they're so bloody good.
and then therefore to keep going
Yeah.
further is where the test comes in.
Yeah.
That's the real tough part.
I have that same problem with the podcast. We started with a bang and very high standards, and I don't know if I can deliver anymore. That's why I'm taking a break.
You know,
huh?
Sunil,
From the
That's-
18th to the
yeah.
30th,
This is
I may
where-
not be there.
Oh, okay.
Stamina, resilience,
Yeah, yeah.
concentration,
Anabolics.
ambition. I'll tell you, Jeff Boycott,
Yes.
England opener, came to
Yeah.
India in 1981-82 in the
And ran
series
off to South
just to break Sir Garfield
So
Sober's
was record. 8,032 to test. runs.
8,032 tests.
Yeah.
He got that in the third match at Calcutta. The minute he got the record,
Took his baked beans and left.
no, and went and played golf that day.
Yeah.
And then he said, Tata, bye bye. I'm going because I've got the record.
Yeah.
Sunil Gavaskar met him and
Yeah.
said, keep the record. but it won't last long.
Yeah.
Within the year, Gavaskar had taken that record
Yeah.
and finished
And
as-
some. 10,122.
became the
Yeah.
first batsman to make 10,000 runs.
Yeah.
And
And
So-
Sunny never ran away from a game.
that ambition,
Yeah.
that's something which drives you. You know, some people will say, "Yaar, chale, khatam ho gaya, haath se nikal gaya." You know, Javed Miandad, I
Hmm.
must mention this.
Hmm.
1990, Gavaskar had retired, highest run scorer. 1990, Lahore Test match was Javed Miandad's 100th Test.
Hmm.
He made a century in that,
Hmm.
and he had a big party at his
Hmm.
house, and I was one of those he invited.
Hmm.
So I went there, and he says, "ये record तो मेरे को चाहिए, मैं छोड़ूंगा ही नहीं." So he is a great admirer of
हाँ.
Gavaskar. इसको तो मैं नहीं छोड़ूंगा.
10,000.
10,122 runs. He tried, huffed and puffed for 3 years.
He wouldn't retire.
He wouldn't
Subcontinental.
retire. He wouldn't retire.
Yeah.
He
They had to
retired
pull
in
him.
96. He
Yeah,
retired.
yeah. But he was such a pale shadow of the great
He
Javed
couldn't.
Miandad.
He couldn't get 10,000 runs. So the fact of being able to muster yourself or raise yourself again,
It's a big one.
which Root has done,
Yeah.
is quite remarkable. And he's done it at a time when all the major players have been suffering from this COVID
Also, Ayaz.
threat.
Yeah,
Workload.
psychologically, last 2 years for him has been devastating.
Devastating.
He's done well with the bat, but
He
he's
lost
just lost
every
match
match.
after match after match and made all kinds of wrong decisions, chose the wrong players, blocked the senior bowlers, etc., etc. So after all that's on his head, you think he'd be in therapy.
Yeah.
Instead, he goes and plays one of the finest test innings you'll ever see in the fourth innings to win a test match against a run of play.
Michael Vaughan says, former England captain,
Mhm.
that Root is the greatest England batsman ever.
Michael Vaughan is full of all that.
No,
Yeah.
it's intriguing because is he better than
Wally
Hammond
Hammond,
or
yeah,
Hobbs or
Hobbs. I mean,
Hutton?
Peter May. I mean, there's so many great ones.
But it's
Ken
interesting.
Barrington, what record he
In
had.
my opinion, Ken Barrington, and in the modern era, Kevin Peterson.
Kevin Peterson. And I know David Gard doesn't have the record, but to watch as a
No,
batsman,
but Kevin Peterson
Graham
was
Gooch.
destructive. Graham Gooch.
Yeah.
So, but to be
Alistair
talked,
Cook, for God's sake.
to be talked of in the same breath.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is
But you
a-
can't. Let's Silvery, never compare people from different eras.
Okay.
You, like
got it.
Cyrus Brocha and Abbas can't be compared because
Okay,
he's
got
much
it.
younger,
Sure,
right?
sure.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Remember that. Yeah.
All right. So Pranshu Parikh has commented
Pranshu
more
is
stories.
very excited about you coming here. He's a
Oh,
friend of
yes.
mine. Yeah.
Hi,
Says-
Pranshu.
More stories I asked, sir, please. 175-1 when even the media was on strike.
You got to
Okay,
see
good.
it. You got to see 175.
You got to see it.
As in, you were there.
I was there. So, I mean,
Wow.
the only way you can see it is when I relate the story to you because
Please
there
relate it.
was no
Kabir Khan tried, but you do your bit. Yeah.
there was no coverage of the match, neither on.
What
on
did you feel,
television or-
Ayaz? You covered every ball of that tournament. Did you really think we'd win at any point? I mean, in the early stages?
No, not at all. I didn't see the first match India played
Hmm.
against West Indies because
Hmm.
I thought it was a waste of
Which we
time.
won.
Wow.
I went and watched New Zealand versus England.
You don't want to see India lose. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
And it's not-
And I wanted to see a young batsman called
Yeah.
Martin Crowe
yeah, the White Richards.
and save money,
Ah.
instead of going. I was in London
Yeah.
instead of going
Yeah.
to where the
Ah.
match was.
Desi bhai hai.
Ah.
End of the day, it all comes down to budget.
And then India won that match.
Yeah.
Again,
Yes.
beat the West Indies. And then that was a lesson I
It's a
learned as a
clarion call.
professional. I said, "Abhi kuch bhi ho, match nahi chhod sakte. This is an assignment." So I followed the Indian
Silvery
team.
beat who? Gordon Greenwich, Desmond Haynes,
Viv
Viv
Richards.
Richards, Larry
Wow.
Gomes. Look at that
Wow.
lineup, man.
Yeah.
Clive Lloyd, Jeff Dujaw, Marshall, then Holding, Roberts, Garner. I mean, one god after another in the god
Wow.
pantheon of cricket. I mean, one god after another. And against that, our poor medium swingers, I mean, they wouldn't get into Trinidad 11 as bowlers, most of them. And none of them had played fast bowling. Where does Shrikant come from? He's unbelievable. Hooking and pulling. I mean, Ayaz,
Yeah.
that the romance of that 83, what you must have enjoyed. God, I envy you so much.
Yeah, I mean that's the most memorable series or
But still,
tournament I've covered.
I still feel, what are the odds of just that one match not being televised and not being captured, right?
No, but
No,
it's,
BBC was on strike.
Yeah,
They
they
had a
were. But
wage
what are the odds
dispute.
of all
but
matches?
Silvery, it's also
that this match
Zimbabwe
would be the-
against
Yeah,
India.
Zimbabwe
In-
against
in
India.
the 80s,
Zimbabwe against
neither team was a
Zimbabwe.
great team. So nobody took it serious. Not Australia versus England or West Indies versus Australia. There were 3-4 of them which are above us in the pantheon. So,
Wow.
but what was it like? Oh, he just batted like what talent? I mean,
Yeah, he went berserk. But after about 40-45 minutes
Yeah.
in the middle. See, it was
at 13 for 4 he comes in, and then
He
it's
come-
17 for 5
he
if I
comes
remember
in
correctly.
at 9 for 4,
9 for 4, okay.
17 for 5.
17 for 5.
And then he's
Partnership.
Yep, then there's some partnership.
But initially it's just tuku batting.
He's just and it wasn't a good pitch to bat on at that point in time. There was a little dampness, moisture.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of movement, seam movement.
Yeah.
Kevin Curran,
Yeah,
Peter
the father,
Rawson,
of the
Peter
two boys.
Rawson.
Yeah,
very good bowler. It was a very good Zimbabwe team. We look back at David Houghton,
yeah.
some very good players.
Decent
there.
talent, no
Yeah,
doubt.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And they are good in those conditions because they all swing the ball.
They all swing the ball.
Yeah.
And Kapil Dev, but once he got his eye in, as they say, he just went berserk. And I think he's one of I've seen
But
Kapil
it was
play
a
some
no lose nothing to lose situation.
to an extent, yes. To an extent, yes.
How do you rate Viv's 189 then? Because they also were like
No, no,
8 down.
I
But he's
mean,
about
Viv
he's Viv
is
Richards, so you
no,
expect it.
no. I don't expect it. I think Kapil Dev's 175 is the greatest one-day innings ever, in my opinion,
Wow, that's huge.
because of the
Including all the
precarious.
double centuries you've
First
seen.
of all, he is not a top 5 batsman.
Hmm.
He's an all-rounder.
Yeah.
Then he comes in at 9 for 4.
Yeah.
Then he takes India to 262 or 267, of which he makes 175.
Yeah, no doubt.
India win that match,
Oh.
and because of that win, India go on to win the tournament.
You would say that when they won that match, the day after that, the Indian team walks with different body language.
Of course, it just, I mean, the sheer exhilaration of winning that
And
match.
Kapil Dev knows he's the best in the world.
I've seen Kapil play some remarkable knocks.
Yeah.
You know, this was obviously the best and the
Yeah,
greatest
yeah.
and the most impactful and the most significant,
Yeah.
change the game, whatever you want to do. I saw him make 100
Best
in the,
Indies?
in the tight test match at Madras.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I think 119 he made.
Correct, yeah.
You know, and I remember in those days you could be allowed into the dressing room to meet players and get some sound bites and quotes. And
Silvery, those days were great.
I'm
Yeah.
sure, yes.
There was no trouble.
And I walked in at the end of the day's play. India had lost Gavaskar, Jimmy Amarnath. You know,
Hmm.
Kapil Dev was batting.
Hmm.
And I walked in, and Kapil Dev was giving everybody
Galis.
gully, firing.
Huh.
Irresponsible batting.
English or Hindi?
English. Irresponsible batting. What is this? This is test cricket. This is not.
नकल कर लो एक बार.
This is not one-day cricket. ये वो पूरा ज्ञान दिया उनको.
This is not one day cricket.
Then next day he came and he batted as if he was continuing from 175.
What
I
a
mean,
talent,
you know,
man.
And then he made 100. I don't know if you remember this, Cyrus, at Port Elizabeth
Oh, yes. Oh, my God,
against
of course.
Alan Donald.
Bouncy
and-
wicket and everything, yeah.
And he was hitting Alan Donald over his head.
Oh, it's straight. Yeah, I
Straight.
remember. Wow. Yes. And the second half of his
And
career.
it reminded me of an innings played by Stan McCabe, I think, in one.
Where he made 200 odd out of 260, right?
232 or something.
232 out
Yeah.
of
And Bradman called the team to
said the
batting
greatest
innings
innings he's seen,
and
yeah.
says, "You may never watch
Never watch
something like
something
this
like that
again."
again,
And
yeah.
I felt the same way.
Bro, you'll
watching
have no
Kapil
idea who
Dev.
Stan McCabe is. Now just
I've
go
no-
away.
I don't.
Because now I become,
really
I'm a cricket Brahmin. Now I get irritated. Because he and I are talking about things, you are the invincibles and you have no idea. Yeah.
I really don't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Girish Patil has asked, is it true that Kapil used Mongoose bat during that 175 as was shown in the movie?
Yeah, I mean, he used some,
But
he
it's
changed
not
the bat.
really
a lot.
mongoose. It's
not
cut. It's cut.
it's
at
cut.
that was the style without
Okay.
the shoulders.
Shoulders, yeah.
Yeah. And not necessarily an advantage. I still don't understand why that's an advantage or disadvantage. It's not.
So what do you think?
Yeah.
No,
Because your
there's
surface
no-
area is less. You look at surface area is less, not more.
That's true.
But they felt it hit the ball. Ayaz will know what the technical issue
No,
is.
I mean, you have to get used to it. If you adjust to it and you prefer it, ultimately, you look at batsmen when they go out, when they're walking out to bat. If you got a chance to see them in the dressing room or in the
Yeah.
dugout, everyone will try out 3-4 bats.
And they're so
How
different.
does-
Azhar's
okay.
bat is like a fly, like a paperweight. And Sachin's bat you can't pick up.
Yeah.
And the two of them both make 200 in partnership together, and the two bats are completely different.
And the grip and what doesn't feel right. It's a lot of intuitive.
But that's why I love my Nawab Pataudi.
Wow.
See, this is my kind of hero. He was like what Cyrus Butcher would have been if I played cricket for India. He wouldn't have pants, he wouldn't have a pad, he wouldn't have his kit.
Borrowed
He'd come,
everything.
He'd say, Kiska hai? Take the bat. Oh, Kiska hai? Take the gloves. He'd go back. He makes 100. He makes 100. Comes back, he's off to the bar to have a drink.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
I mean, that's just fantastic. What a guy.
Very great.
Gary Sobers, Ian Botham, those are the greats. Yeah. Pataudi is like, I wish somebody rekindles those stories of those.
I have a Pataudi story to
Oh,
share.
please, I love
And that's from
Pataudi.
my childhood.
Yeah, wow. What a
No.
guy.
So I must have been 14 or
Yeah.
15. He used to be always in the Bombay Gym bar at
Oh,
lunchtime.
classy man.
Classy man. And I desperately wanted to get an autograph.
Okay, wow.
And underage, you can't.
Yeah.
I'm not a member of
Yeah.
Bombay Gym. Underage, you can't be allowed in. But I had some
Friend.
friend who was working as a cashier or
Yeah.
in the accounts department. So he would tell me, नवाब साहब आ जाते हैं ये I said, listen boss, तुम आते तो ठीक है, मेरा कुछ अंदर आने का बंदोबस्त करो. He said, how can you come? I said, okay. So I painted a mustache.
Oh, wow.
You get those liners.
Painted a mustache.
I mean, you get those liners
This is worse budget production than our podcast.
and made the sideburns a little longer just to look 18 so you could
Sure.
get into the club. And I joined my friend. He told me he couldn't come into the bar.
Huh.
So he said, Nawab Sahab bete. So Nawab Sahab was sitting there. I was kind of
Shaking.
shaking.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it was. It
Yeah.
must have been a bus ticket, BST ticket. I went there and I said,
Sir.
sir, मुझे autograph चाहिए.
Hmm.
He just looked at me, turned around, signed it, looked the other way and started talking to the barman. That was my only interaction. I grabbed it and I ran.
Hmm.
Many years later,
You
Many-
interviewed him.
I told him, I said, do you remember
You worked in Sportstar.
I worked in
Yeah.
Sports Week.
Sports Week, sorry. Yeah.
I said, the first time I met you was
There's
in-
no way he'll remember.
No, no way. But I told him the story.
Huh.
He said, no, you're painting a very ugly picture of me.
Hmm.
If I know myself, I would have called you for a drink and you would have sat and had a drink with me. I said,
And
I
the
couldn't have
mustache
a
would have come off. Ayaz, what sip you had? ये तो अलग आदमी है मैंचो.
But a great, apart from being a great player, he was also a terrific guy, very droll sense of humor.
What stories?
What stories? I did a session
What did
with
he do,
him.
Vishwanath? This is the tying up story.
Yeah, that is.
Just tell the guys that you gotta tell that story.
Yeah, so Vishwanath made his test debut.
He's a kid.
He's
Yeah.
21,
21.
21.
Yeah, but younger than these guys. Yeah.
Makes a century in his
Debut,
on his debut.
Wow.
0 and
second innings
second
century.
innings century. And he's now the toast of the country and all that. And Pataudi called the Indian team to his estate in Pataudi. And they went for a little shikar and this, that, and the other. And
The captain's a Nawab, for God's sake.
Yes,
It's
that's-
like a real Nawab.
and
What
Gundappa
time?
Vishwanath and some of the others then were caught by bandits.
What?
Yes. They were
What?
caught
Yeah, listen.
got by bandits and tied up and this, that, and the other. And Vishwanath
Tied to a tree and all that.
tied to a tree.
like a B-grade Hindi film. Really?
Yeah, you're right.
And Vishwanath
Sure,
started
right.
howling. मैं विश्वनाथ हूँ मैं इंडिया क्रिकेटर हूँ
मैंने सेंचुरी बनाया.
सेंचुरी बनाया है छोड़ो
Mera, yeah.
छोड़ो. Then they realized that Tiger had put these guys behind them
Oh,
just to create a bit of a scare.
It's a practical
And-
joke.
Yes,
Look at what he
very
did.
funny.
He went and hired his actor
Yes,
friends,
yes.
got them to come, do all
Very
this
funny.
nonsense, and just to scare the kid.
I did a
The team.
Raj Singh Dungarpur event,
Yeah.
late Raj Singh Dungarpur
Yeah.
lecture
Huh.
in Delhi, 10, 12 years, when Tiger was alive.
Yeah.
And he had this, great smart one-liners he would come up with. So talking about BCCI and, all that, how things could be better. So he came up with this great line. He says, BCCI, instead of being the voice of cricket, has become the invoice of cricket.
Fantastic. Yeah. Wow. No. I mean, talking about his cricketing ability, firstly, best fielder we produced,
Yeah.
perhaps for generations. Secondly, great captain. Because just look at the way he carried himself. He's just not Indian in that sense, not to put India down, but he was just very different. He was like,
I don't know how long you've been going to Bombay Gym. Were you, when he was playing,
by the time I started allowed in the bar and all that, his generation
otherwise-
was gone.
he was a terrific hockey player. He
Yeah.
used to play the Aga Khan Cup hockey. He was a fantastic snooker and billiards player. He was a very good squash player, all with one eye.
Yeah.
And cricketer, of
But
course.
the thing is, how did he go back and play? Because he plays with two eyes, then he gets injured in a car injury, and then he goes back and plays, and he scores 100.
He scores 100. He scores 600.
Yeah, after that, 600s after that, which is like.
Colin Milburn.
So, call him the same story. You won't know, but
yeah.
Yeah. And
Colin
he actually
Milburn.
batted faster after that, apparently.
No, but
Yeah.
Colin Milburn was an England opener.
Hmm.
Swashbuckling opener. He would be a big hitter.
Yeah. A little fat.
Played,
carried weight, yeah.
played for a few years. Then, unfortunately, he also had a car accident and lost one eye.
Okay, wow.
And then he worked hard and came back. And I think he played maybe 2 matches.
But never the same.
Never. He gave.
Yeah.
He said,
So-
"I don't know how
So
Tiger did it."
here's the thing for people listening, they can try it. You cover your eye and bat. Okay,
No, no,
first you
it's-
bat with 2 eyes, then you put a patch on your eye and go and bat again.
Of course, there's
Against-
no depth. You don't get any
The
depth.
perspective is horrible.
Exactly.
Just try it. I've tried it. I've actually tried it. It's ridiculous. The kind of because
I think you would have to practice a lot with
No,
that
I
one
think we
eye,
should
though.
not lose sight of the fact that Tiger was a tremendously talented, gifted athlete and individual
Yes.
because his personality was so huge and interesting, and he was a Nawab, and his name is Tiger, etc., etc.
Yeah.
We forget that there's no flippancy to the cricket. The cricket is fantastic, and he as he says, he could have been a great athlete in anything else. And the son, Saif Ali Khan, I've seen him play rugby. I don't know how good he you know how modest they are, the English way they raise in England, and
Yeah.
also wouldn't. I was not very good. I'm sure he's a pretty good cricketer also, but for
Yeah.
whatever reason didn't go all the way. But I saw him play
His
rugby.
nephew was very good cricketer.
Is it true?
Saad bin Jung.
Oh yes,
Yes.
lives in Bangalore. Yeah,
Lives in Bangalore.
pretty first class cricket. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
played first class
I enjoyed
cricket,
it
and he
also.
was on the brink of.
Yeah, but I
No.
can tell you my quickly because we have to wrap up.
Saif,
Tell you
yeah.
my father's story.
Yeah.
Okay, so my dad was.
No, you didn't complete the Saif thing.
What was the same
You saw him playing.
No, he played rugby with us in a celebrity match. He was better
Yeah.
than most of the boys.
Oh.
And he hadn't played for 5 years. So you can see the genes are there. I hope the next generation, I mean, they've got kids now, maybe somebody will be the next Tiger. Because you can see definitely, again, because they're rich and Nawabs and all, you just presume that they're not good at sport, that, this presumptions are all wrong, But Tiger, practical joker, loved his drinks, loved the good life and all that. But the next day, he's the best player on the park, which is something else. Gary Sobers, both of them similar vein. But my story, very quickly, is my dad came to fetch me. We were going somewhere. I was in my 20s. I was doing MTV and stuff, and Seth was there. So he was standing and we were chatting.
Yeah.
And my dad, the car came. So I just introduced my father. I said, Dad, this is Seth. He's one of our big film stars, very famous. My dad, cigarette in his hand, was like, yeah, okay. He wasn't impolite, but he wasn't interested at all.
No.
Then I said, he's Tiger Pataudi's son. MJ! Suddenly, he woke up. And then Seth told me, it's been a long time, because now he established film stars. A long time since somebody introduced me as Tiger Pataudi's son. But you got to just change one generation, bro. And you see what respect you get because of your father, not because of you. But I think that's it. That's a fabulous story. I just only my crazy father. I'm sitting in the car thinking, oh, Sam must be wondering. I'm the biggest name in India. I've got 5 releases this month. And Tiger Pataudi ka beta hai. All right. Last question before we wrap up, because
a quick MES. This one, just a comment first from Aman Verma 3050. He says, used to solve Ayaz Memon sir's cricket quiz on Tata Sky early in the morning before going to school. Good old days.
Yeah.
Big fan, Ayaz sir. Always a pleasure listening to you.
Thank you.
This question comes in from Laurie Raleigh, who says, what do you make of BCCI's policy of not allowing Indian players to play in international leagues? Even those who don't play Ranji and IPL regularly are not allowed unless they
can't
are
kill the
officially
golden
retired.
goose. They have to
So
control
I think this is going to become a contentious issue.
the
going
retired
ahead.
players, as he says, should be allowed. The
Retired players,
semi-retired.
the thing is, Cyrus, the pool is so huge now.
Sure.
You got 100, 200, maybe
If
300
Ambati Raidu is
cricketers.
struggling to play here,
And if they don't get IPL contracts or Ranji Trophy assignments, forget about the India cap, then what will they do?
I mean, Pujara and Rahane can walk into the England middle order.
Yes.
So they should be allowed.
I think, you are inviting everybody else from all over the world to come and
Yeah,
play
correct.
IPL.
Yeah, what is this?
No, and there are two parts
So
to this.
the protectionism is, from a business point of view, yes, it makes sense, but will it be sustainable over the next 10
Also, the
15 years?
casualties, the ones who are not getting enough work.
Exactly.
The ones who are not, from a business point of view, if I'm not getting enough, I'm not guaranteed an IPL contract, or I've been dropped.
Unmukh Chand.
Unmukh Chand.
Unmukh
Had to go to
Chand,
America. That's ridiculous.
World Cup winning captain, under 19.
Straight into the Delhi IPL
Delhi
team.
IPL team, played for Delhi.
Yeah.
Didn't
And then
make
it
much
goes
headway.
pear-shaped. Yeah.
So he wanted to go and play the leagues. They were not allowing him. So
He's left the cricketing world. He's in US.
left the Indian cricketing world.
And
He's going
but
and
what?
playing in the
Come on,
US.
Ayaz, what are they doing in the US?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. So that's
Under 19, almost all under 19 captains have done well.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Karan Sharma, under 19, what is the other guy's name? They UP beat Bangalore.
Yes.
First time in 14 years. Bangalore's like a heavyweight team, one of the big 3 or big 4. And UP, to be honest, with a great political entity as it is, was not a very great cricket team.
Yeah.
And so that was great. That's great for cricket. We had 2 good. Shams Mulani, quickly, can we talk about
Shams
him?
Mulani, Sarfaraz Khan.
Sarfaraz Khan, Bradman of India.
He's become Bradman of Mumbai, certainly.
Yeah, Mumbai, certainly.
Yeah. Then there's Arman Jafar,
he suddenly disappeared, but he's right there. Yeah.
Wasim's
nephew.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So there's some really good talent now. Mumbai coming back into its own.
Semi-finals. Let's see. We're talking
yeah.
Ranji, by the way. We just moved on. Huh?
I get it.
Sorry. Yeah.
So, okay, last, and then we can end. Do you think BCCI politics took away 3 to 4 years of Kohli's career? Girish Patel asked.
What do you mean?
No, I don't know. I mean, look, if he has a great tour of England, one test match, yes. But he's was it avoidable? Yes. Has it taken away from his career? I don't think so.
I guess it boils down to what you guys have written for the last 40 years. Are we transparent in our dealings? I'm talking about board with player. You just mentioned Pat Cummins, and you know the letter that was written, and you know what happened, and you know how the Australian generation before has reacted to it. Here, everything is cloak and dagger still. Virat said one thing, Saurav said something else is not clear.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's also been player power in India. I mean, Virat and Kumble fell out, and Virat had his way.
Yeah.
So,
but that's sort of transparent. Okay, we know what happened, and then one of them had to go.
Correct.
But here, what happened with Ganguly and who announced whether he's dropped or not?
I think things didn't pan out well for Virat into 2021 because of a lot of extraneous factors. That I can, in my opinion, that is absolutely correct.
Sure.
But it also means that the player now has to show mental strength and great, the ability
to get back on top.
To get back on top. That's what makes.
But one of the greatest batsmen you've ever seen?
Virat.
Yeah, at his
most
best.
Certainly.
What an imposing figure on the front foot, driving to
what
the
a
off.
charismatic player
Yeah,
and such a great advocate of Test cricket.
yeah.
Because of him, Test cricket has become richer, in my opinion.
And some super moments which people don't talk about.
Yeah.
Calling Steve Smith, telling the crowd to stop abusing.
Yes.
Much more interesting person than people think. You forget the West Delhi bit for a minute and just realize that he's grown a lot. Like we said, maybe that killed the spirit a little bit, but
Woke.
I was really touched when he told the crowd to stop abusing. That was
I mean, he stood up for Mohammad Shami when the trolls got in his case.
Yeah.
He's a guy who's a big supporter of animal welfare.
Yeah, he does.
Like Cyrus.
He's put his money.
He got woke.
Unlike
that's
me, he
what-
puts his money where his
No,
mouth is.
yeah.
Yeah. No.
Alright.
No, that's what I'm saying. Again, like Pataudi, going back to this, we have to remember the man and the cricketer. I mean, both pass the test. Then, you got something special there. And it doesn't always happen. And considering we grew up with all these heroes of ours, many of them have feet of clay as well. And not to judge them because life is hard and you realize that.
Yeah.
But then I think Kohli, with the pressure he's under, is a fabulous human being. He's done a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what a batsman again.
Fantastic batsman.
Yeah. Wow.
He's such a crowd puller.
Of course, my favorite batsman remains Isaac Vivian Alexander Richards, brother. There's no question in my mind. There's only one God, and that's him. Ayaz, favorite of all time as we end?
Yeah, I think Viv Richards certainly.
2 for Viv. Silvery, tu laga.
Viv Richards.
Thanks, bro. Never missed a ball, yaar. Okay, Ayaz, that was special, super fun. Now we can go back to our boring lives. We'll see everybody on Monday. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Cyrus. Thanks, guys.